Hi guys! Okay, so today I am going to be doing my March wrap-up. Sorry this is being posted so late, just I didn't have time to film it earlier. So, I never count how many books I read in March. Do you guys want to know that, or do you care? Like, I always read so much that I'm like, I don't really feel like counting them all, but if you want me to count them, I will do that. It's just, yeah, I never feel like it. So, alright, first, but I had a very good reading month in March, I will say. So the first books that I read in March were the Josefina series, American Girl series. And of course, I buddy read this with my good friend Shannon over at Old American Spirit, as I'm sure you may have guessed. And Josefina was so precious and sweet. Yeah, this is a story about girls who, set of three siblings? Four siblings. Yeah, they're four siblings, and they are dealing with the death of their mother. And, just how each of them is grieving and moving on. The ones that dealt with that were definitely the best in the series. I've already mentioned a little bit how I felt about this in an earlier video when I ranked the American Girls, but Josefina was just so precious, so wonderful. And it was very Christian, which, admittedly, you could not tell a story about a girl in, like a Hispanic girl living in New Mexico without it being very Christian, because Christian, Catholic, I'm using them, it was very generically Christian, I would say, but obviously Josefina would have been Catholic, like the character would have been Catholic. But, yeah, I really enjoyed all of these books. They were all very good. I also read well, let me see here. Hello, sweetheart. Baby came to visit. Let's see, Meet Josefina, got 5 stars. Let's see, Josefina learned the lesson. Goodreads changed and it's harder. Also got 5 stars. I don't think they all got 5 stars. Josefina's Surprise, 5 stars. Happy Birthday, Josefina, got 4. Let's see. Josefina Saves the Day got 4. And Changes for Josefina probably got 5. Yeah. So, yeah. Very good series. It was like my 5th favorite overall, and only because I have such strong nostalgia for Kid. Otherwise, it probably would have been 4. Then in the middle of all those, I finished A Hope Unburied by Kimberly Woodhouse. This is book 3 in the Treasures of the Earth series, which is her, like, paleontology series. And I loved this series. Book 1 was a little dark, but the rest of them have been better. And the friends to lovers in this book was just so wonderful. And y'all know that's one of my favorite tropes. So, yeah, really liked that one. Then I read The Would-Be Goods by E. Nesbitt. I gave this one 4 stars. It was not as good as The Story of the Treasure Seekers, which this is a sequel to, because this is also about the Bastable children. Basically, they get scolded so many times for being bad that they finally decide that they're going to make a society called the Would-Be Goods so that they can learn to be good. And, they keep trying to do good, but they keep getting in trouble because they do it the wrong way. I will say, I feel like the character of, Albert Next Door's uncle, as they call him a lot, Albert's uncle, and Albert lives next door. Albert Next Door's uncle, the character, like his character in this book did not seem like he was the same guy at all as the guy in the first book. So, did not love that change. Alright, then I read, it's over here somewhere. Here it is. I read Minute Mysteries 2 because I don't own Minute Mysteries 1. This was basically just some little puzzles for you to solve as a kid. It was more fun as a kid than it was as an adult. But I think I still gave it, did I give it 3 or 4 stars? I don't remember. Let's see, what did I give it? 4. Yeah, my review was just, these were more fun when I was a kid. Alright, then I read The Lost Prince by Frances Hodgson Burnett. I gave it 3 stars. Have fun adventure, great interpersonal relationships, but the twist was extremely obvious. Like, literally from the first page, I knew what the twist was going to be. From the first page, I knew what the twist was going to be. In fact, just hearing the title of The Lost Prince, you may guess what the twist was going to be already, just with knowing the title. It ended way too abruptly, and, there was one character whose ending was, like, not really given. Like, it was kind of hinted at, but never really fully explained. And I wanted to know if it was true. What I thought was going to happen with him. Also, there was a lot of, like, as I put it, weird spiritual woo-woo gobbledygook, which basically boils down to, I believe Frances Hodgson Burnett, the author, was into Christian Science, which is neither Christian nor scientific. And so there was a lot of like manifestation sort of talk, which as a Christian I think is nonsense. Just utter poppycock, to use a saying that we should bring back. Poppycock is a good word. We should say poppycock more often. But anyways, I would have liked the story if, again, the twist wasn't so obvious, or if we were just told it earlier. Like, they saved it till like the last page, or not the last page, but like the last chapter. I knew it from page 1. Like, I don't understand why they kept it from us so long. But, and the author straight up lied to us a few times to try to get us to not believe it. I still was like, no, this cannot be the way. This must be, like, it has to be this way. And it was the way I thought it was. But I was just very irritated by that. And, yeah, very abrupt ending. Alright, next I read Serial Burn by Lynette Eason. I gave it 4 stars. Just, this is a great friend group. That's really what I read Lynette Eason and Lynn H. Blackburn, both of their suspense series. I read them because I love their friend group. The friend group that they write. It is so good, and a lot of times, even in this series, the couples are coming from within the friend group already. Like, it's not like one member of the couple is already part of the friend group and the other one gets integrated, though that happens in some series. But in this one, they're already all part of the same friend group, which is really great. I love that aspect. Yeah, so really enjoyed that one. Then I read Henry V, which is really weird. This is like my second favorite Shakespeare of all time. But basically what happened was I saw on my Libby app that they had an audiobook that was, it was not an audiobook, like a dramatization that included Sir Ian McKellen, and I was like, ooh, I want to listen to that. So the thing came due, and I was like, hey, I'll listen to it. And Henry V is one of my favorites. It has some of the best speeches in all of Shakespeare. Like, the tennis balls speech is so good. In fact, I have a mug in my Etsy store, link in the description, that says just tennis balls, my liege, and has a picture of tennis balls on the other side, because I love the tennis ball speech so much. And, obviously the St. Crispin's Day speech, there are a few others that are really good. And the, Henry and Catherine moment at the end is really sweet. So yeah, really love that one. Little Lord Fauntleroy, I read next, also by Frances Hodgson Burnett, 5 stars. It was so much better, like, so much better than, The Lost Prince. I understand why that one is talked about and The Lost Prince isn't. Basically, I'm just going to stick to the 3 books by her that are really good, which are, of course, Secret Garden, Little Lord Fauntleroy, and A Little Princess. I don't think I'm going to experiment with any more of her books, because I've learned that the lesser-known ones get into weird stuff. I think even Secret Garden has a tinge of that weird stuff. I don't remember if Little Princess does or not. I haven't read it in ages. But Secret Gardens isn't nearly as bad as, I don't think it was, at least, as the one I just read, The Lost Prince. But Little Lord Fauntleroy was really sweet. Basically, it's an American boy who learns that his father, or his grandfather, is an earl. And, both of his uncles, this little boy's uncles, passed away without leaving any heirs, and so the little boy's father had been kind of disowned by his grandfather because he married an American woman, but this little boy's the only heir left, and so basically it's kind of like Anne of Green Gables, I would say, in which, the plot is like, little kid comes and thaws this precious sweet little kid comes and it makes everybody's heart around them thaw. Is that also the plot of Pollyanna? Honey? What? Is the plot of Pollyanna basically sweet little kid comes and makes everybody else's heart kind of thaw? Like everybody but the main character, like the main character is sort of like a perfect character that is the arc causer for everyone else.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, or Paddington Bear in the movies, because apparently that's how Paddington is. I haven't seen Paddington Bear 1, but my husband has told me this. Alright, but anyway, yes, this was... So you would like Little Lord Fauntleroy, actually. Anyway, this was a really sweet book. Really enjoyed it. Then I got 3 more Melanie Sellier books in. I read The Princess Search, which is the last book in the first series. These are like... There's like, what, 4 different interconnected series. I've finished the first series now. I gave that one 5 stars. That one is an ugly duckling retelling. It was really sweet. Really loved it. Yeah, very precious. And then I read A Dance of Silver and Shadow, which is the first book in the second series. which is a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, and I loved it. Again, 5 stars. This one was one of my favorites, I think. Normally I think Lily would have been the kind of character who would have annoyed me because of her stubbornly self-sacrificial nature, but I still loved her. Like, the way Melanie Celia wrote her, I totally loved her. It was great. Also, suggestion though, don't read the summary for book 2 before you read book 1, because it totally spoils the ending. It didn't bother me. I really enjoyed it still, but if you care about that, see Anne's recent video on spoilers, by the way. Anna in Search of Wonder. She recently did this video, but she claims spoilers aren't real. I kind of disagree, but it was still a fascinating discussion, so go watch that in case you want to see her hot take. But anyway, so book 2's ending, or summary, spoils book 1. So I'm not going to summarize book 2 right now. Just going to say I still loved it. Book 5 stars again. I did wish there was some communication by literally anyone except the main character. I'll say that. The main character, whose name I'm not going to say for, again, spoiler reasons. No one would communicate with her, which kind of is problematic sometimes. Like, there was so many issues with no one communicating with her. Like, there was a reason, but it wasn't a good reason. So, yeah. Alright, next I read A Thief in the Theater, a Kit mystery. This was, I actually have that one, so I'll hold it up. This was another buddy read with Shannon. Buddy read, that's the word, sort of. She kind of just mentioned she had one, and I was like, oh, which one? And, she told me, and I was like, oh, I have that one, so I just kind of read it at the same time she did. So, not a full buddy read where we weren't reacting the whole time to each other, but we did discuss it a little bit. So, I'm calling that a buddy read. No. Don't grab that. Not while mommy's using it. So, it was 4 stars. It was kind of enjoyable. I did not remember the ending, so that's good. I don't remember really anything about any of these mysteries. So, yeah. The baby just flopped himself on the ground. I don't really know why. He's so cute. Alright, then I read A Fall from Grace by Janine Gauthier, maybe? This was a recommendation from Bethany over at Bethany Brings Books. That's her channel, maybe? I gave it 4 stars. It was a really cute, sweet, and clean Regency romance. One kiss did go on longer than I liked, but it was still really sweet, and it wasn't overly bad. So, I still really enjoyed it. I'm going to read the rest of the series. I have them out from the library. I'm just kind of ignoring them because I don't want to read them right now. You guys ever do that? Like, you take out a hold from the library, like, nobody else is actually, like, there's nobody in line. So you just, like, check out a book, and then you just keep renewing the hold because you don't really, or not renewing the hold, renewing the loan because you're like, nobody else seems to want to read this book right now. And I don't want to read it right now either, so I'm just going to keep it forever. I do that. Anyways. Then I read A Cupbearer Called Nehemiah by Kenneth Winter. You may remember, I think it was last month, I read his Rahab book, and I did not love it very much. It was like 3 stars. This one was better. This one was 4 stars. I really like Nehemiah as a character, the way that he portrayed him. I think he portrayed him very accurately, which was wonderful. Because I need to talk about a DNF. Let me finish talking about this book, and I have one more, and then I'll talk about my DNF. I really liked the way that Nehemiah was portrayed, as well as Esther and Artaxerxes. They were all portrayed really well, and I loved Nehemiah's relationships with Esther and Artaxerxes. It was great. I really liked this book. I think he portrayed Nehemiah very in line with his biblical character. All right, and then I read A Ranger's Guide to Cliffwood Forest by Andrew Peterson, because I got to like the 29th, and I was like, wait, I have read a book for every single challenge that I'm doing, like yearly challenge that I'm doing, except for mine. I managed to not read a book for my challenge. So I was like, ugh, all my other books were too long. I couldn't get in an audiobook from the library. So I just grabbed this one and read it. It's really short. So it was good. 5 stars because I love Andrew Peterson. I love all of his books that I've read. Even the nonfiction. And y'all know I don't love nonfiction. So for me to love a nonfiction, that's something. All right. The DNF was, it's by Joan Wolfe. It was an Esther book. Here. Oh, yes. Okay. So A Reluctant Queen, The Love Story of Esther by Joan Wolfe. Okay, so, I started this for Kat over at Kat Stories yearly challenge, and, I don't remember how far I got in, maybe like 30% or so, and I did not like the way Esther was portrayed, because, Esther was portrayed as, okay, so in this book, they are worried about, where to start? I need to figure out how to explain what was wrong with this book. You need to know the story of Esther from the Bible for this explanation to make any sense. So, this book was claiming that the book of Obadiah and the book of Esther were happening at the same time. That is a weird way to start this explanation, but it'll make sense. So Obadiah is basically where Obadiah goes on. The prophet Obadiah talks about how God's going to punish the Edomites for how they treated the children of Israel during their exile. How they basically attacked them as well. The Edomites... So, in this book, the Edomites and the Jews were coming to blows over in Israel, while Mordecai is still in Susa. In this book, Haman is described as an Edomite. He is never called an Agagite, which I thought was a little irritating. I understand that I think the Agagites, who were descendants from the Amalekites, like the Amalekites, I think are descendants from Esau. If I remember correctly from the Bible, that's the case. So I understand why that was done, but I did not like it because the Bible does not call him an Edomite. The Bible calls him an Agagite. There is, that's a difference in terminology. Edomites are never mentioned in Esther. They're not mentioned in Ezra or Nehemiah. They don't seem to really have that much, they don't really seem to be, like I said, they're not mentioned. So, I'm actually going to double check myself on that the Amalekites were descendants from Esau. Because if they're not, then this is even worse. But I'm pretty sure they actually were. Amalek. I think I spelled that right. Yes, okay, so Esau's son Eliphaz also had a concubine named Timnah who bore him Amalek. Yeah. That was just, anyway, that may not have been the version I prefer, but it's fine. It's the Bible, so it tells you what, yeah. So they are descended from Esau, Edom, but calling Haman an Agagite specifically is meant to call to mind, I believe, everything that happened with Saul. Saul was sent to wipe out Agag, the king of the Amalekites. And he wiped out most of the Amalekites, but he didn't. And, sorry for just giving you the Bible history lesson here, but I think it's important. There is a reason I think that Haman is called an Agagite. I think that's important because that's what the Bible calls him. So, the the Amalekites were supposed to be wiped out by King Saul, but he left alive Agag the king. And somehow also apparently his wife or one of his children. How do we know this? Because then, Haman, the Agagite, shows up later in the Bible, so clearly he's descended from this Agag, who's supposed to have, all of his descendants were supposed to have been wiped out. So basically, my problem with this is, the Bible already gives us a reason for Haman to hate the Jews. You don't need to give us another reason for Haman to hate the Jews that the Bible doesn't give us. But then also, and we don't know for sure I don't think we know exactly when Obadiah happened. I might be wrong on that, but it doesn't seem to me that we know for sure when that occurred. So then, because Mordecai and the rest of the Jews are worried about Esther, or are worried about Haman's influence on the king, they send Esther, they willingly send Esther to go compete in the beauty trials. In this version of the book, you had to be nobility or royalty to compete. That's not what the Bible says, first of all. I'm pretty sure it just says all the beautiful young virgins. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it says. Hun, does that sound right?
Probably.
So you don't have to be noble in the Bible. Anyone could. And the way I would read it is that if Esther is a faithful Jew, she would not have willingly. The way I read it in the Bible is, if Esther was a faithful Jew, there would be no reason why she would willingly go and compete in this competition to win the heart of the pagan king. She had to have been taken from her home forcefully. Or somehow required to go. I don't think that would have happened. And I don't think that the Jewish leaders would have asked her to it. Nor do I think, which what happened in this book, that the priest would have told her that she doesn't have to worry about breaking dietary laws anymore. I don't think that's how that would have gone down. I don't think that's how that would have gone down. Daniel. See? Daniel. That's not what happened when Daniel was taken into exile. Daniel still followed the dietary laws. So, if anybody would have had a reason to be exempt from them, Daniel would have, but he wasn't. So, and God clearly blessed him for that. So anyways, I had problems with that. And then Esther's attitude when she's asked to do this by, there's some loophole where her mom was a Jew, but her dad was a Persian noble. And her, let's see, what happened? I know I'm kind of spoiling the first part of this book, but like I don't think you should read it because I don't think it was very good. So her dad was a Persian noble, so she's allowed to enter the contest based on that fact. But like I don't know. Her attitude when she's asked to enter this contest is basically, no, this cannot be right. No, I don't believe in this. Like, her attitude is very rebellious toward Mordecai and rebellious toward the leaders of her people. And the Esther in the Bible who says, and if I perish, I perish, and who obeys her uncle her uncle/cousin, to not tell anybody that she's a Jew, I don't think that Esther would have been rebellious in heart against Mordecai. Also, she was never called Hadassah in the book, and like, the Bible specifically says she was called Hadassah, but she like changed her name to Esther when she joined the thing to hide her Jewish identity. And then the other problem I had, so anyways, I also had problems with the fact that apparently Mordecai had told her whole life that her Persian father's family wanted nothing to do with her because she was half Jew. But apparently that's not the case. And it was just Mordecai that told them to go away and stay away. So Mordecai seemed like a very bad guy in this book. I did not like Mordecai in this book, which is not good because Mordecai is great in the Bible. Like, the real Mordecai was a wonderful man, it seems. And then Esther and the king get married. That should not be a spoiler because that's in the Bible. But Esther spent a lot of time looking at his physical appearance, especially like areas that should not be discussed. Not anything like overly inappropriate. Some people wouldn't have a problem with it. I was just like, I don't want to hear about anything below his chest. Let's not talk about anything lower than that. So, yeah, this was a no from me. I have another book by this author that I didn't even really like all that much the first time. Like, I maybe would have given it 3 stars the first time I read it. It's about Rahab. It's one of those books that tries to say that Rahab wasn't actually a woman of the night, but it was just a misunderstanding. So I was already kind of on edge about if I'm going to keep it. This just tells me I hated this book. I'm not going to read that book. I'm just going to DNF it, or not DNF it, unhaul it once I find it. Yeah. So that was my DNF for the month, but I had an overall good reading month so far, other than that. My favorite book that I read this month was probably Josefina, maybe? I really love the Josefina books. Oh, no, Dance of Silver and Shadow. That was probably my favorite. I really liked Dance of Silver and Shadow. All right, now for the yearly challenges. I'm doing 8. Let's see if I can remember what I did for each challenge. Okay, easy. For Cat's challenge, I did a cupbearer called Nehemiah. For my challenge, I read Ranger Glipwood, the Andrew Peterson book. For Amanda's challenge, I did Meet Josefina, or like the Josefina books, because it was a multi-generational story, and Josefina's, Mama's here. Mama's here, sweetheart. Look at you. Big man, or little man in a big chair. Dada, you're watching him, right? Don't let him tip backwards. Okay. Josefina is Amanda's prompt is a multi-generational story. Josefina's grandparents are in this book. Josefina's dad is a main character, and her aunt, who is generation with her mom. And then Josefina and her sisters, and one of Josefina's sisters has kids. So that's like 4 generations. For Jeanette at Jane Reed's prompt, I think her prompt was set outside your home country. So I put a cupbearer called Nehemiah for read Christian fiction because, Persia is not my home country. I don't know if you could tell that based on my somewhat blondish hair. Oh, Scare Bear. Scare Bear baby. And my very white skin and pale eyes. I don't know if you could tell all of that. But yeah, Persia's not my home country. For the Read Your Bookshelf Challenge by Chantel, I'm going to put Minute Mysteries by American Girl because minute is time, right? Time was the prompt. Minute is time, so I'm going to count that. That may be a stretch. I don't know. How many have I gone over? Kat, me, Amanda, Jeanette, Chantel. It's okay, sweet boy. For Anne's challenge, I read like 3 different classic, whatchamacallums, middle grades. So you can take your pick between The Lost Prince, The Would-Be Goods, and Little Lord Fauntleroy. I'll go with Little Lord Fauntleroy because it was the one I liked the most. I don't remember what I did for Oshina and Katie's challenges. Let's see if I can... No, I'm just going to pull them up on my phone real fast. So I'll be right back. Okay, so for Oshina's Read Christian Romance Challenge, I did a floral cover, and I put Hope and Buried because they're a pretty flower. I just love this cover. This is such a beautiful cover. But also there were flowers on the cover. And then for Katie's, I did Country Ship Gilder, A Fictional Place, and I did Princess Search. The Ugly Duckling retelling that I read. I did that one. The Melanie Sellier book. I can picture the cover. I just don't remember what the name of it was. But anyway, the Ugly Duckling retelling one that I already mentioned. So those are the books that I read. What was your favorite book that you read in March? And what was your least favorite? Obviously, my least favorite was the one I DNF'd. Other than that, my least favorite one was... What was my least favorite that I finished? Probably The Lost Prince, because it had so much potential, but it was just... I love the storyline idea, but it was just not great in execution. Alright, that's all that I think I have to say for today, and please like and subscribe, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.